Welcome, and thank you for tuning in to Lady K Chat, a podcast that is designed for men and women to become better versions of themselves, which is broadcast every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Various subjects will be spoken upon, such as relationships, health and wellness, personal development, wealth building, children, and so much more. She is a two-time Amazon best-selling author, an international speaker and life coach. She is Lady K. And now for your host, Lady K.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Lady K Chat podcast. You are here with your favorite host, Lady K, and I just want to thank you and welcome you for tuning in every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Just to let you know, today's show, it is sponsored by Lady K Enterprises. We are a financial service firm that specializes in cryptocurrency and the media world, and we service business and to individuals. But today we are going to continue our series, Black Men in America, and I have the pleasure because this gentleman is doing some amazing, when I say amazing things in the community. So it is with due respect to have the founder of City of Refugees Enterprises, Mr. Dexter Peggins. Welcome, Dexter.
Hey, Lady K. Listen, you are too kind. Make sure you give me the information where I need to send this check. As soon as you're done.
I'm going to email it to you, Dexter. I'm going to email it to you.
No, honored to be here with you.
Thank you for accepting the invitation. That's the main thing, Dexter. I really feel like a lot of men need to come out there and share that they are doing some amazing things in the community, especially our Black men. Our Black men are not murderers. Our Black men, they feed into the community. And Dexter, just by looking at your resume, you've been in the game for like over 20 years. Am I correct?
It's been a minute. I hope.
I hope I ain't telling your age. I don't want to tell your age.
You are definitely dating me, but yes.
Right. So
for a while.
I want to start off by asking you, can you tell us a little bit about City of Refuge Enterprises?
Yes, ma'am. So City of Refuge Enterprise is a nonprofit organization where we work with at-risk youth in the CSRA area. The CSRA is actually the greater Augusta area here in Georgia. And so what we do is, once again, we provide mentorship services as it pertains to working with these young men between the ages of 12 to 18. And so we've been fighting the good fight for a little over a year now. The funny thing is that we actually became an organization in January of 2020, right before, of course, the COVID outbreak. But we've been in the trenches for several years. Myself, along with a couple of our other mentors, we've been involved in the DJJ system, working with the young men who've been incarcerated, as well as some young men who've been identified as behavioral problems within the school system. So we love the work. Sometimes it's a thankless job. But nevertheless, when we start to see the turnaround in these young men, when they're making better decisions with their lives, that in of itself is actually a reward.
Absolutely. You said a mouthful, but one thing that you dawned on me when you said, you work with the kids that they label that they have behavior problems. Yeah. This is a very touchy subject for me. It is really irritant to me. Dexter, honestly, I'm going to be so real with you. I feel like the education system, they do not know how to deal with our children. They put children all in one category. Does that bother you too? Do you?
It does, and one of the things, and you alluded to it in your introduction, we are guilty and we're subjects of stereotypes from literally cradle to the grave. And so a lot of our, especially as a young boy, I think what they might deem is maybe he's acting out really entails the fact that there's a gap in communication as far as understanding
Yes.
the young person. And so because there's that inability to make that connection, cross that bridge, we'll just label them as a behavioral problem because they're not responding in a way that is conducive to what we're looking for.
Absolutely. And I'm a piggyback too. I'm gonna take it a step further. To be honest, let's be real. It's all about funding to them. When it comes to our children, it's for funding. When they get to label them, oh, let's put them in special ed. Funding. Oh, like you said, it's from the cradle to the grave. When they get to a certain point, oh, juvenile. Oh, jail system. So I'm so happy that you are taking this approach and you say, you know what, young buck, I know you got in trouble, but you know what? Let's steer the rope real quick. You don't have to be labeled like that. Let us help you. I feel like that is so needed, like for the men who are well here, because it starts here. You got to be well here in order to do some type of service like that. To say, you know what? I was once that kid, or I know where you're headed. Let me give you some mentorship, because sometimes that's all a kid needs. They just need someone to talk to sometimes. And this, going back just a little bit, talking about when they're young, behavior problem. How do you know that, he can't talk to no one at home, or maybe at home he might be hungry, or maybe, he feel like he can't talk about certain stuff. And I'm going to top this too, because it's very touchy and not a lot of people like to touch this, but a lot of these young men, they have been raped. Yeah. They have been molested. They don't tell nobody. And I'm so emotional about that, because I'm trying to hold back my tears, because someone in my family, that happened to them. And then when you try to scream out what the accuser is, nobody wants to hear you. But then they look at the little boy and they say, well, the little boy got behavior issues. Why do he have behavior issues? Yeah. That's what you said. Why? Where's it stemming from? Because it have to stem from something. Do you care to even know about the roots? So again, this is why I'm saying I'm so happy that you and your organization decided to do that, because you're saying, well, where's the root? Let's talk about it. Is that correct?
No, hey, that's spot on, Lady K. I mean, if you think about it, once again, we're talking about some of the issues in the school. They don't know the kid's story. We have teenagers who are literally living the experiences of grown men because of the amount of responsibility in their household. And so, now you're saying, well, they're acting out. We failed to realize that they have not been given the opportunity to process things as a child, to work into their own ability to rationalize things and to really be able to form their own thoughts, because they've been thrusted with these levels of responsibility literally from adolescence. I mean, whether it be taking care of their siblings, making sure everything in the house is functioning while maybe a parent is out the house, to even, the extreme cases of maybe rape and those things that we like to sweep under the rugs. There's a lot of young people in this world. Once again, if you hear their story, it'll break your heart, how are you 16 years old, literally having lived like 5 life experiences within the span of a short time? And so,
absolutely,
there's a lot of weight that our young people have to carry. And like I said, within our organization, these are just some of the things that we deal with. And hopefully, we try to deal with it the best way we can.
What's the age group that you deal with, Dexter?
Yeah, once again, so we work with 12 to 18 primarily, but we're not going to turn anyone away. So we've had some moms reach out to us, with 10-year-olds, 11-year-olds, and then some of our young men have aged out the program, and so we're doing some things where we can now incorporate them as previous mentees, where we're working to make them now almost like group leaders, from one of their experience.
I think that's amazing, because if you think about it, right, because you said 18 is the cap. But like you said, what do they do after 18? No, get yourself involved, because, you was at that place and space at one time. But I think that's a very imperative age group that you decide to tackle that. Because, like you said, if you don't tackle certain issues, you'll grow up being a grown man, not knowing how to channel your emotions, not knowing how to, be responsible or don't take responsibility, or, try to maintain relationships and friendships. And then you're in this thought process that everything is everybody else's fault. And then you don't understand when you have to take responsibility for your action, So I think that's a very imperative age. And I love that factor. So that's a great thing. And then on top of that, for the kids who's out the program, you allow them the opportunity to mentor someone else.
To be honest, that's almost the expectation now. The reality is that at some point in time, there should be some emphasis on how do you give back to your community. And so we push that narrative very strongly, that if you benefited, that it's now your turn to serve others so that they themselves will benefit as well.
Absolutely. And then, you actually cultivate the leadership in them, so that's another thing too. And as you have these men, placed in these roles, then it can take the weight off this one person, because, sometimes it can be tiring when you just got the main people doing it and no one else, wants to do the work. But the way you design it, I love it, because that flows, it makes sense. And I think it's all about the design and, how you put things into perspective so you can mold these people into the leaders and the young men that, into fathers and husbands and, devoted community helpers, and etc. I can't even think, but sometimes your words just get fumbled. It's like, why? But it's right there. But, I mean, well, but again, I love the magnitude of that program. And you said it just rolled out last year?
We officially named it and, got the 501c3 seal of approval last year, but the work had already been well in motion for several years. And so, okay. So we just all came up under one umbrella and said, this is what we're going to be. We're going to be a city of refuge for these young people, because here's the thing, Lady K. Eventually, we will be the elders, and we won't be able to be as involved in the capacity that we are now. And right. So, if we want to really be instrumental in the future, we need to start touching our young people, and so that's what we're doing.
Absolutely. So, you dedicate your time to the community, Dexter. How do you balance that life with, your family, being a husband and being a father?
Well, listen, I have a very supportive wife, but no, the reality is that I have to be a good steward of my time. And so, listen, I tell my mentees, if it's an emergency, you can call me 24/7. If you want to talk about TikTok, 9 to 5. And so, but as the, right. That's an interesting question, because I have two sons. And one of the things that I don't want to be found guilty of is being more available for other people than I am my own children. And so, actually, I'm able to incorporate my sons into a lot of our activities. But also I make a point to designate specific time just for them where, without exception, this is not to be interrupted. And so I'm mindful to make sure that my time with my family is indeed quality time, and that they know that they have the priority. And in doing so, that reduces the conflict in the household where they say, hey, well, you're always gone. You're always doing this.
Right.
Now they know that, hey, dad is here, and the husband, he's doing everything he's supposed to do. And so what we're going to do, we're going to support him in the works that that I do in the community. Let me stop talking in third person.
No, it's okay, because I think that's needed, because especially when you are doing that type of work, any woman that's going to come into your life, she has to understand your calling, because you have a big calling. But like you said, at the same time too, women, we don't want all your time, but we want to make sure that, you are making time for us. So, tell us about when you spend quality time with your wife.
Well, we've been going on a lot of trips lately. We actually we actually just came back from Jamaica not too long ago, last month, and actually in a couple of weeks we're going to head down to Miami, and so the reality is, once again, I learned a couple of years ago that I need to maintain dating my wife.
Yes.
She can't be. She can't just be my wife, some inanimate object, inside of the house,
Right. Please preach to the choir, because they need to hear this, Dexter. Preach to the young ones, because they need this insight.
Well, the first thing first, when we met, she became my girlfriend, and from there, she became my wife. And so she became my wife because I saw that she had wifely qualities. And I'm saying that from the standpoint of, it's important to still date your wife, because eventually the kids will be gone and you still have to have that affection for the person that you look at every day. I think the issue is that as responsibilities take place, when you become a parent, you start to digress in the husband-wife relationship, because you're giving way to, being a mom, being a dad. But the reality is that husband and wife relationship, that's the foundation for the family. And so one of the things that we make a point to affirm with each other is that when the kids are gone, we're still going to be here. And so what kind of house do we want to live in when everybody's grown and gone?
Right.
And we want to live in a house that's enjoyable. And so the way we're able to maintain that is to keep doing stuff that we like to do together.
Absolutely. I like that, because, it's so sad that a lot of people do not know what to do. Like, once the kids are gone, it's like, well, that is just us now. So it's like you got to face one another now. But it's great that, you talk about these things, you plan. I think, these young men, they need to hear that. It's not just like you said, she's just your wife and she's just there, keeping up spice. I think that's a phenomenal thing. So I appreciate that. You just give an insight that, your wife requires your time.
She does. Hey, listen. but I enjoy it. One of the things I think, is, I say this kind of off-putting in the joking manner, but I think COVID, especially during the time of quarantine, it really revealed if you liked your spouse or not.
Oh, yes.
And I'm fortunate that I actually like my spouse and she likes me. So, so we're good.
Listen, people don't realize liking your spouse and loving your spouse is two different things, because there's a lot of people who love, but when you ask them if they like him, they be like, I liked him yesterday, maybe. Maybe.
She's cool people.
Right, she cool people. I don't know how she gonna be tomorrow, but I love that fact, and then that you can have fun with it, because you gotta have some type of fun in your life. Everything just can't always be serious. There's that balance is imperative. But if I'm correct, Dexter, are you also a minister? You have a ministry?
Yes. So listen, there was a lot of stuff going on. I've been ordained in the ministry for a long time, for almost about a little over 15 years. And so last year we actually started a ministry, once again during COVID. So it seemed like COVID.
A lot of things birthing COVID.
Yeah, serving as a precursor for a lot of things. But it started off as an online ministry, and actually it still maintains that platform, only because I see it more as an educational center as opposed to what a person would consider a traditional church. And that's kind of rooted in my personal belief. And so I won't get too far in the weeds on that. But long story short, I believe in discipleship. And I believe that that's been kind of like a missing element as far as the church has been concerned over, the last couple of decades, the heart of discipleship. And so we have small groups during the week. And then once again, on Tuesdays, we do our online Bible study. And it's really starting to take a lot of traction. And so we're looking at maybe opening it up, making maybe an online school. And so we'll see what the future holds for that.
I love that. You see how things just flourishing for you. And as far as you're talking about discipleship, that's going to kind of intertwine what you were talking about your City of Refuge organization. It's like
Enterprise.
it kind of intertwines, because if you think about it, again, the main thing is that you're cultivating leaders. That's what it's all about, cultivating the leader. Just like Jesus did, like you said, he had the 12 disciples. Some of them was, there wasn't, there was, some of them was shady, some of them was with him. But it's like that, but still it's underlining the work that you have to put in. And people have to be mindful that you gotta put the work in. That's what it means to work. To be a student. A lot of people always want to be the teacher, but in order for you to be the teacher, you have to be sometimes in student mode. So exactly. I'm happy for your teaching, for your preaching, man of God, so bless you. I thank you for all your works that you are doing. We're almost running out of time, but Dexter, I want to ask you, is there anything else that you would like to add?
Well, listen, yes, there is. And thank you for sharing that. I believe that one of the biggest issues that a lot of us deal with is we're too compartmentalized. And if you think about it, and you reference Jesus Christ, he said, out of you will flow rivers of living water. The issue is that a lot of us don't see how the symmetry of our lives. And so I'm able to be this way in every environment. The hat might change, but I'm the same person. And so my encouragement for everybody is to discover that own liberty for yourself, where you can be yourself in every environment, even when the title changes. But one of the things that I've been really adamant about, Lady K, is promoting my recent book, Dear Son.
Yes, I saw that.
The words of a father to the heart of a son, because I'm a firm believer that when the hearts of men heal, we're going to see the change in our communities. And a lot of men are dealing with issues that we don't know how to give expression to, that we don't know how to give language to. And a lot of it has been rooted with the negative relationship with our fathers. And here's the thing, how you relate to your personal father is probably indicative of how you relate to the Heavenly Father. And so there's those father wounds that project themselves in the world that God has given you dominion over. And so if you don't see him right, as a result of your own personal father relationship, you're not going to see how you're supposed to engage this world right. And so if anything, I would just like to leave the audience with that, and encourage you, if you're interested in this book, to go to my website, DexterPegginsJr.com, and pick up yourself a copy. Pick up 2 copies if you would like.
Yes, I'm going to definitely pick up a copy. I definitely want to support you, and I'm going to give it to my son. Because, I always feel like, sometimes these young boys, when you're speaking to them as their parent, it's like, okay, here's my parent. But sometimes when an outsider may speak, they might be a heir to what they're saying. So, again, Dexter, I think that's amazing. How can the audience contact you on social media?
Definitely. So you can reach me at Dexter Peggins. That's Dexter. Last name is Peggins, Peggins Jr. Jr. And that's my handle on Facebook as well as Instagram.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much, Dexter. I really appreciate this conversation. To the men out there and women that's out there, I hope this resonated in your spirit. If you found it insightful, please share, because a lot of young men need this. So I thank you, everyone, for listening tonight. Continue to follow us here at the Lady K Chat Podcast here on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. And don't forget Spotify and also Apple. And please remember to visit our website at www.LadyKEnterprises, INC. And everybody, I will see you next Tuesday at 6 p.m. Lady K.